Hello and welcome to day 7. It's Marina here, and this week we are discussing love traps that can happen to anyone regardless of gender or sexuality. And over the past 6 days, we have explored mixed signals, accepting crumbs, future faking, manipulation, DARVO, and ghosting. We have looked closely at the person who's hurting you, but today we turn towards you. Not to blame you for the pattern, not to tell you that you should already be over it, and not to force you to stop loving someone before you are ready. Today, we are going to explore the final and maybe most painful part of this journey. How do I grieve the dream and come back to myself? What am I really grieving? You may not only be grieving the person, you may be grieving the life you believed was waiting for you. You may be grieving the relationship you hoped they would eventually become capable of giving you, the home you imagined, the trips you discussed, the ordinary mornings together, the emotional safety you believed would come once they were ready. You may be grieving the version of them who appeared during the beautiful moments, and you may be grieving the version of yourself who believed that patience would eventually be rewarded. This is why letting go can feel so enormous. You're not only losing what happened, you are also losing what was supposed to happen. The dream may never have become a shared reality, but it was emotionally real inside you. You invested hope in it. You made decisions around it. You may have placed parts of your life on hold for it. You are allowed to grieve it. Why does the dream feel so real? When someone repeatedly describes the future with you, your heart may begin living there before your life ever arrives. You may have imagined the details so clearly that the future began to feel like a memory you had not lived yet. Every promise strengthened it, every return revived it, every moment of tenderness made it seem possible again. The dream may also have offered relief from the present. When the relationship felt confusing, you could tell yourself, this is temporary. When they are ready, everything will change. One day, this will all make sense. The dream gave your pain a purpose. It allowed you to believe that your waiting was leading somewhere. So when you begin accepting that the future may not happen, you may also have to face the possibility that the waiting will not receive the ending you have hoped for. That is not foolishness, that is grief. Who am I without waiting? When so much of your emotional life revolves around another person, letting go can feel like losing part of your identity. You may have become the person who waits, the person who understands, the person who forgives, the person who sees their potential, the person who never gives up. You may organize your day around their contact. Your mood may change according to their availability. Your hope may rise and fall with every message. So when you stop waiting, an unfamiliar space appears. You may ask, what do I do with myself now? What do I look forward to? Who am I if I am no longer trying to make this relationship work? That emptiness does not mean that leaving the pattern is wrong. It may mean that your life has been organized around the connection for so long that returning to yourself feels unfamiliar. You're not discovering that there is nothing left of you. You are meeting the parts of you that have been waiting for your attention. Why isn't knowing enough? You can understand every red flag and still feel unable to release the person. Your conscious mind may know that the relationship is inconsistent. You may recognize the future faking. You may understand the principles of manipulation. You may know that their silence is not the kind of communication you deserve, and yet another part of you keeps hoping. This does not mean that you secretly want to suffer. It means that intellectual understanding and emotional change are not always the same thing. A deeper part of you may still associate holding on with love, waiting with loyalty, overgiving with worth, being chosen with safety, leaving with abandonment or failure. You may consciously want peace, while another part of you believes that letting go is dangerous. Knowing the pattern is important, but sometimes knowing is only the doorway. The deeper question is, what is keeping the pattern emotionally necessary? What is attachment protecting? The part of you that cannot let go may not be working against you. It may be trying to protect you from something even more painful. Maybe holding on protects you from grief. Maybe hope protects you from feeling rejected. Maybe waiting protects you from accepting that someone did not choose the relationship you wanted. Maybe analyzing them protects you from turning towards loneliness, uncertainty, or an older wound. Maybe the dream protects a belief that everything you have given will eventually be rewarded. But instead of asking, why am I doing this to myself? Try asking, what does part of me believe will happen if I truly let go? This answer may not arrive immediately, but the question changes the way you relate to yourself. You are no longer attacking the pattern, you are becoming curious about what it has been trying to do for you. A response that now keeps you stuck may once have helped you preserve attachment, avoid conflict, or even survive emotional uncertainty. You do not need to hate that part of yourself. You can understand it and begin exploring whether you still need its protection in the same way. Am I ready to change? Wanting the pain to stop is not always the same as being ready to change the pattern that keeps repeating it. You may want them to become more available. You may want them to communicate. You may want them to recognize your worth. You may want the relationship to become the dream you were promised. But their transformation is not within your control. The question is, are you ready to turn towards what is within your control? Are you willing to examine why inconsistency feels so compelling? Why boundaries feel dangerous? Why you distrust yourself when someone becomes upset? Why potential has more power than present reality? You do not need to know exactly how to change. You do not need to have every answer, but you do need to be willing to stop circling the same question. How can I make them change? And begin asking, what is this pattern asking me to recognize within my own life? This is not taking responsibility for how they treated you. Their behavior belongs to them. It is taking responsibility for what you choose to do with the truth you now have. What can I control? You cannot make them choose you, but you can stop making their choice the measure of your worth. You cannot force another person to become honest. You cannot make them communicate. You cannot make them take accountability. You cannot love them into emotional availability, but you can choose whether you keep negotiating against your own needs. You can decide what access someone receives when their behavior remains inconsistent. You can pause before replying. You can notice when relief is making a decision for you. You can stop explaining a boundary to someone committed to misunderstanding it. You can seek support. You can become curious about the part of you that finds self abandonment safer than separation. Your power does not come from controlling the outcome. It comes from no longer abandoning yourself while waiting for someone else to create it. How do I come back? Coming back to yourself does not happen through one dramatic decision. It happens through small moments in which you stop leaving yourself. You come back when you acknowledge that something hurts, when you eat instead of waiting beside your phone, when you rest without earning it, when you tell someone safe that this has been happening, when you return to interests that excited you before the relationship consumed your emotional life, when you allow anger to show you where a boundary was crossed, when you let grief exist without using contact to make it disappear, when you ask, what do I need today? Coming back to yourself may feel uncomfortable at first. Chaos may feel familiar. Calm may feel strangely empty. You may mistake the absence of emotional intensity for the absence of love. Give yourself time. You're not trying to become someone who never feels longing. You are learning that longing does not have to control your next choice. What does choosing myself mean? Choosing yourself does not mean that you stop loving them. It means that loving them no longer requires losing you. Choosing yourself may mean accepting that their limitations are real. It may mean grieving instead of waiting. It may mean allowing their silence to remain unanswered. It may mean setting a boundary they dislike. It may mean recognizing that love is present, but reciprocity is not. Choosing yourself is not revenge. It is not a punishment. It is not proving that you do not care. It is deciding that your well being also belongs in the relationship. And if the relationship has room only for their wounds, their timing, and their needs, choosing yourself may mean stepping out of the role you have been asked to occupy. You do not have to stop caring, but you can stop paying for the connection with your peace. How can deeper work help? When insight changes your thoughts, but not the pattern, something deeper may still be asking to be understood. When I work privately with someone, I do not tell them whether to stay or leave. I do not tell them what decision they should make. I cannot change the person who is hurting them. Instead, we explore what lies beneath that repetition. What does the attachment represent? What is the pattern trying to protect? Which subconscious beliefs and emotional associations may be keeping hope, fear, or self abandonment in place? Your conscious mind may have analyzed the relationship for months or even years. You may already know that the person is unavailable, but a deeper part of you may still believe if they choose me, I will finally be enough. If I leave, I will be alone forever. If I stop trying, I have failed. If I set a boundary, love will disappear. Deep private work gives us space to listen beneath the repeated story. The aim is not to force an answer onto you. It is to help you uncover what is true within your experience so your choices can begin coming from greater self trust and emotional steadiness. Is this work for me? My private work is for you if you are ready to stop organizing your life around someone else's emotional availability. It is not the right work if your only goal is to make another person change, return, commit, or finally recognize your worth. I cannot offer you control over another person, and I will not help you build your future around trying to earn their transformation. You do not need to arrive knowing exactly what the final outcome should be, but you do need to recognize that the pattern is hurting you and be willing to turn towards your own life. I work with people who are ready to ask, what is keeping me here? What is this protecting? What needs to change within my own thinking, responses, and choices? This is private, focused, and deeply personal work. We do not spend our time circling the unavailable person's behavior. We focus on the part of the pattern where your power lives. I cannot help you control whether they choose you, but I can help you understand what keeps you waiting and support you as you begin choosing yourself. Day 7 reflection. Today, you're not being asked to erase the dream. You are being invited to stop disappearing inside it. Take a piece of paper and complete these sentences. The dream I'm grieving is what I believed the relationship would give me is what waiting has protected me from feeling is the part of myself I have abandoned is one way I can return to myself today is. Then ask yourself, if I stopped waiting for them to create my future, what would I want to begin creating for myself? Do not force a grand answer. Maybe you want rest, clarity, support, a calm home, a relationship in which you do not have to decide whether you're wanted. Maybe you simply want to wake up and feel that your life belongs to you again. Let that be enough for today. What do I take from day 7? The dream may be ending, but your life is not. You are allowed to grieve. You are allowed to miss them. You are allowed to wish the story had been different. And you are allowed to choose yourself while those feelings still exist. You cannot change another person. You cannot force them to become the version of themselves you were promised. But you can explore why this pattern has such a painful hold on you. You can understand what it has been protecting. You can rebuild trust in your own perception. You can begin returning to the life that has been waiting for you. Before continuing with your day, place both your feet on the floor. Take one slow breath in and out. Then gently remind yourself, I honor the dream I am grieving. I release the responsibility to make another person change. I am allowed to return to myself, one choice at a time. Thank you for joining me in this series about love traps. If this series has helped you recognize your own pattern, please subscribe and share it with someone who may still be blaming themselves for finding it difficult to let go. And if you recognize the pattern and feel ready to explore what it may be protecting inside you, you can book a free clarity call with me. You do not need to arrive with every answer, but you do need to be ready to turn towards yourself. Sending you so much love and light. Speak soon.